Okay, so this video is being uploaded on the Tuesday night of I think today's the 28th, if I recall correctly. I gotta look at the calendar again. But anyway, this is a Tuesday night. If I have the day wrong, the correct day should show in the time and date stamp for when the video gets uploaded. But to this video is a little bit controversial because I'm not entirely sure if it's okay or acceptable from a Jewish or Hebrew standpoint, because I'm not tied into any particular set of traditions fully at this time, but I'm not like initiated into any pagan religions. I'm not a member of a witch's coven. I'm not in anything like that. I've just done a lot of research for a long time about the many, many different facets and angles of world international spiritual practices and how it relates to the Bible, because people, they'll be okay with hearing something from one source, but then they could hear the same thing from the Bible and they're up in arms and ready to fight, because in their minds the Bible does not represent their faction and the luxury of having privileges and perks without having to earn it, without having to deserve it, and without having to recognize justice. In the world of adults, no matter what spiritual practices or political practices adults have, the overwhelming majority of them, they're looking for their guy or their girl who's going to uphold the traditions, uphold the culture, and give them privileges and perks and advantages, even if they don't deserve it, even if they don't earn it, even if they don't fucking care about nobody except self and their friends or their family or whatever. That's pretty much how politics and spirituality tends to go among most factions of adults. And the Bible poses a problem to most people, or just a lot of people, and Judaism does as well, because it presents the threat that someday some man who is not your guy might have authority over you to enforce structures, rules, and laws upon you that does not give you access to perks and privileges that you really don't deserve, that does not give you access to lawlessness and upholding of your power structures based on lawlessness and the doling out of luxuries and privileges and perks that is not deserved. I know the Bible says God is love and God can forgive people and give them love and forgiveness that's not deserved, but nowhere does it say that that's also supposed to guarantee that you're automatically supposed to have jobs, land, somebody else's spouse, somebody else's children, somebody else's valuables, or whatever kind of shit that's not yours, that you didn't earn, and that you morally and or legally don't deserve. Okay? And that can be a sensitive issue for you if you're a colonizer. It can be a sensitive issue for you if you're an indigenous person set in your ways who sees any form of authority or structure as a threat and just an attempt to get rid of you and to force you to stop doing the things that are making you miserable and helping to destroy the fucking environment anyway. I mean, if you want to be free to make yourself and your women miserable to the same extent that white people do or worse, if you want to destroy the environment to the same extent that white people do or worse, okay. Then as an indigenous person or a black person, you're entitled to your opinion. But a lot of you, my black people and my red people, a lot of you on both sides, we both know that you hate any evidence that shit's about to get real, biblically speaking, because a lot of y'all motherfuckers don't want to change and you just want to pretend like, you know, you might be some kind of way when really it's something else. And I understand that white folks do that too, and white folks have been at the root of a lot of different types of problems. But don't pretend that half of our people have not been at the root of a lot of different types of problems before colonization even fucking started. Okay? But with that said, I'm not gonna go deeper into those issues because I think we're already aware of what quite a few of those issues are at this point. So, with that said, I'm going to talk about a really bad earthquake that may or may not happen tomorrow. And again, I don't know if this is entirely okay from a Hebrew perspective, what I'm about to say, because I know in the Bible it talks about soul ties, just like occultists and other faith do. Occultists whose motives that you may or may not understand. In the Bible, it talks about how the planet Earth itself has a consciousness, and how in the last days the planet Earth itself would cry out and scream like a woman in the pain of childbirth, waiting for the sons of the Elohim to be revealed. Okay? And I noticed that normally when people talk about the book of Revelation and last days prophecy, they kind of forget to mention the part about the book of Revelation that says, I will destroy them who destroy the earth. They forget about the part that says the earth will groan like a woman crying out in the pain of childbirth, waiting for the sons of the Elohim to be revealed. They forget about that part because it don't have nothing to do with money, power, respect, or hoes. Like that rap song, Money, Power, Respect. And that part of biblical prophecy, it don't have jack shit to do with money, power, nor respect. And in judgment, when God's hand of protection lifts away from a group of people, then this means that Satan, who might also be referred to as Lucifer or Kukulkan or whatever the serpent or whatever other names, if God's hand of protection is lifted away, then that means that he's going to do things that's going to protect the plants, protect the animals, and promote the health of the ecosystem, but he's not going to protect you if you're a human being. That is not his job. He knows that if you're a white American, you're breeding like ants, tearing shit up ecosystem-wise in America. He knows if you're an African, you're breeding like ants, tearing shit up in Africa. And northern white rhinos just went extinct like 10 months ago. And the only two surviving females are two inbred to carry a pregnancy. I looked at the pictures of an African dude holding the last male northern white rhino while he died with no heirs and no females that can support a pregnancy to survive him. Okay. Satan, Lucifer, Kukulkan, whatever you want to call him, he understands that if you're Asian, you're up in Asia, breeding like ants, consuming the land like locusts, tearing shit up, and raping chicks, frauding chicks in marriage scams to treat them like slaves. He understands that if you're in Europe, you're doing a lot of the same shit, but maybe trying to attempt to be a tiny hair's breadth of a bit different by being more inclusive to other races. You know, like I said, like people think Satan is supposed to be for them. Some people, they think he's whatever names they use to describe him, they think he's supposed to be their guy and guarantee all kinds of shit. But the fact of the matter is, it's not his job to protect you as a human being. It's not his job to benefit you as a human being. It's his job to protect these ecosystems. And if you truly were in communication with him, then he would have appeared in your dreams and your visions with all kinds of little woodland creatures and tiny animals surrounding him as he's trying to figure out how to clear his name, how to clear his reputation because of the purpose that he's created for. And yeah, he might take the form of a white guy with blonde hair and blue eyes. Yeah, he might take the form of a Native American dude with dark skin and long bone straight hair and a face similar to a black person. I said similar, not the same. He might take the form of a black dude with dark skin and long dreadlocks. No matter what form he might appear, for all you know, he might even take the form of an extraterrestrial being that's like an insectoid or something, which is kind of fucked up. But no matter what form he might take, whether you look at the Bible or whether you look at Native American culture, which clearly and specifically indicates that it is not his job to protect you as a human, okay? Like the difference between the Sealy Fae, who try to promote good in the world, versus the Unseelie Fae, who are not human and whose job it is to limit you, to cut you down, to stop you, and to, if necessary, kill you for the balance of life. That's like the difference between the Seelie and the Unseelie Fae. And we see that similar duality in some of the indigenous cultures, as it's described in a book written by Gregory Little called The Path of Souls, where it talks about the more evolved souls who do have the right to leave this realm and to come back if they choose to, versus the less evolved souls who are not fucking trying to be better. They don't fucking care. They're putting zero effort towards trying to be a better fucking human being. And then they die the death of the animal and they ass get stuck here and they can't go nowhere. You know, I know my brief explanation of the concepts in the very intricate spiritual revelations of the indigenous peoples in Gregory Little's book, you know, which I know I gave a ghetto summary of those intricate spiritual revelations, but that's basically for the most part what it is. And I had the benefit of being able to see these things on the channel of Tasha G, which is spelled XI, where she put some things into summary that really helped me to connect the dots on a lot of things that I've been studying for many, many years, both biblically, alchemically, and in terms of international religions. And I know I've kind of sort of gone off on a tangent, but not really. But what I'm about to say about a possible earthquake that might occur tomorrow is that I believe some spirits that spoke to me about the possibility of an earthquake tomorrow, I believe they might be nature spirits or referred to as the Fae. And if you're an Asian person, then because they're dead animals or dead plants or whatever, then that automatically classifies them as demons. Because in Asian culture, any kind of spirit that is not a human being and has never been a human being, 9 times out of 10, it's a demon. If your canary dies, it's a demon. If your dog dies, it's a demon. If your tree dies, it's a demon. If your horse dies, it's a demon. If a wolf in the forest dies, it's a demon. Why? Because it's not human and there's a natural conflict of interest. And obviously, they've suffered immensely under the hands of man. So with that said, the spirit who I believe gave me this information, I believe this might be a fae. I believe this might be a spirit that's classified as a demon under Asian culture and belief, and under spiritual culture and belief, precisely because it's not a human being. This is a spirit who claims allegedly to have been sent by God to help and has permission from the Most High God to do this, okay? And of course, you know, there's some instances, certain subjects, this particular spirit might try to play around or lie or exaggerate a little bit. And then there's other situations where that's not done because it's serious. If he's talking about something from the Most High, you know, and it's important to pay close attention to what's said specifically, because normally if that type of spirit, in my experience, says God will do this within that time frame, or God will do that within that time frame, or whatever, normally that's not a lie. Normally that's going to be the truth, and not an exaggeration. So you got to pay close attention to what's said and how it's being said, because that stereotype about the Fae and their choice of words, where it's not really lying, but you got to look at the choice of words, because it's not a lie. It might just be like a colorful choice of words. Okay, well, that I believe is probably true about them, just based on what I've seen in my personal experience. So you gotta look at what they say and how they say it. And if they're saying specifically that God, the Creator, the Most High, is going to do something specific within a specific time frame, normally that shit is true. And normally they're going to be spot on accurate on a level that you normally don't see from a psychic or a church prophet or a witch or a guru or whatever. Normally, you're not going to get an exact day, an exact week, or even an exact month and year for specific types of disasters. Normally, you're not going to get that from that level of pinpoint accuracy and timing from a church prophet or a guru or a Buddhist monk or a psychic or a witch or whatever, or a rabbi. Normally, you don't get that. They might tell you accurately what's going to happen, but they don't know the year. Or maybe they might know a time frame for a set of years, but they don't know which year in that set time frame, or which month, or which day. You know, that's normally how it typically tends to go, just in my observation of people of different faiths that I've kind of observed for a long time through sources like YouTube and through sources like Christian Broadcasting Network, and in my observation of what I believe might be the Fae. Their approach to revelation about what God is going to do normally tends to adhere to, I think it's either Proverb 30 or Psalm 30, one or the other, but it's definitely 30, which says, when you give a revelation from God, you don't add anything to it, nor do you take anything away from it. And I think that's why when they communicate something, if it has anything to do with God, anything to do with the Most High, then normally they are not going to exaggerate nor distort nothing, nor lie about none of that shit. They might lie, exaggerate, or distort other stuff, but if they specifically, word for word, specifically come out and say it's about what God is going to do, what the Most High is going to do, okay, that's when play is over, and the lying playing game is over, and shit is serious. So, with what I'm about to say, this is not revelation directly from God, no. You know, it's not revelation from my guardian angel, no. This is from the Fae, the what I believe is the nature spirits, those who have been labeled demons because they're not human beings. They're the plants and animals that you've been driving to extinction by throwing your legs wide open. And I have children too. I know I can't judge because I have children too, and I had my children after the age of 30. But am I throwing my legs open wide trying to overpopulate intentionally here for power or control or for money? Hell no. Fuck no. I ain't never done that. So with that said, the spirits who I believe might be the Fae, one of them was saying that tomorrow on Wednesday, there might be a really bad earthquake with an epicenter in Santa Monica, California. Okay. So there's a possibility that tomorrow there might be like an 8.1 earthquake with the epicenter off the coast of Santa Monica, California. Now, here's the challenging part of that information. Sometimes they're a little weird and a little off with dates. Like this is the year 2022, but sometimes they might say the word 2021, even though this is a totally different year, because their spirits and their perception of time can be very different from a normal person. Like a spirit can just sit for 10,000 years doing nothing in particular and be perfectly fine. Just sitting for 10,000 years doing nothing and ignoring everybody. They can do that. Even dead humans can do that, according to Sadhguru and Mystics of India. But if the information I receive from them is accurate, and I don't know if it is or not, you know, and I don't know if this is really sanctioned by God or if they were sent by God to help me or not, like they claimed. But I believe it's entirely plausible, entirely possible. But if what they said to me is accurate, then yes, there would be an 8.1 or stronger or maybe a little weaker earthquake tomorrow, which I think might be the new moon, which the new moon is the first of the month in the Hebrew calendar. You know, every new moon, which means the sky is black and it looks like there's no moon, that's the first of the month, every month on the Hebrew calendar. So if the Fae gave me correct information, then tomorrow on the new moon, the first of the month on the Hebrew calendar, there would be a significant California earthquake, maybe around 8.1 in strength. And it may have an epicenter around Santa Monica. And so that's what I've got. I'm not entirely sure if they were sent by God to try to help me like they claim or not. So I'm just gonna wait and see if Southern California gets what they're talking about, and how much of this is correct or incorrect or not true. So here we go, and the next installment for my video series.